Hello, everyone. This is Deshaun Shepard. I'm a lender solutions expert at Cox Automotive, and I have a very special guest with me here today, James Canapari from Mannheim Auto Auction. We had an opportunity to meet just almost a year ago where we were dealing with one of the same clients, and I think that we're both living proof of, how Cox is we like to promote the being the power of one, right? Where, he deals with the Mannheim stuff, where I'm more on the title management side with Dealer Track. But James had the opportunity to actually visit one of our facilities in Wilmington, Ohio. So he got to see how the millions of titles for all of our lenders out there are stored in our very secure vault, all of the technology behind it, the amazing staff. Now, never forget, your eyes popping out of your head at everything that you saw at our office. But I told you owe me, and I want to learn more about Mannheim. So I'm glad you were able to join us and just tell us a little bit more about yourself and what the process is like at Mannheim.
Hey, Deshaun. Well, thanks for having me. I'll kind of go a little bit about myself and then a little bit about Mannheim, if that's okay. I've been in the automotive business about 20 years. I started at the largest used car retailer here in the United States as a buyer. And then about 15 years ago, I started at the auction at Mannheim, Nashville in dealer sales. And now I'm working out of the corporate office in Atlanta and managing some of the large commercial clients that we have. And for those of you who don't know, Mannheim is the largest auto auction in the United States. And we have the largest digital marketplace in the United States as well. And something interesting is during COVID, we were the only one that was able to transact 100% digitally right off the bat. Many of our competitors had to shut down, had to pivot, had to change the way they do business, but we were able to service the needs of our clients all the way through 100% digitally. And because of this, many of our buyers and sellers have become very comfortable in a digital environment. And I think that's something that will help and something that you want to talk about today, Deshaun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, a huge role that Dealer Track plays with our title management is, our ability to digitize certain processes. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about accelerated title and how that plays such a huge role in what it is that you guys do. But you saw how our titles are managed, and you were very impressed by it. It seems like you wish that every title was stored at our Dealer Track facility. So could you just tell us, why it's so important that titles are properly managed, like what you saw at our Dealer Track facility?
Well, let's talk about what we saw at the client first, because you could kind of say, you guys do it so well, keeping everything safe in order. And as we talked about, I mean, titles are cash. It's a dealer or a consignor's, it's money in hand. It's just a piece of paper that's worth a lot. And because of that, if you don't manage it properly, you lose it or something happens, you're losing out on that car. So what we saw at the client, they were thousands of titles that were in a closet.
Yeah, it looked like there should have been brooms inside of that closet.
Do you remember? I mean, your eyes when you walked in that closet, you were looked at me like, "Oh no, this is not going to be good." So the importance is that we know that when we're selling a car, we have a title and we have it secure and we have it on hand and ready to transact. Where that poor client, they didn't know what they were doing. So I'm glad that you were able to come in and help and show us what it really means to manage a title process. So.
Gotcha. So could you touch on that a little bit more? So, knowing that a vehicle has a title when it's crossing the block for you guys, it could mean the difference between a sell and no sell, right? So, how can you stress the importance of what that means?
Yeah. So, and this is kind of a tagline that we could probably use from now on, but every time we go see a client together, we're not going to say that a car won't sell without a title. But what we will say is that it'll sell much quicker with one. So let's put a little context around it. So imagine you're a seller, a consignor, whether commercial or dealer, bringing a load of cars in from wherever at great distance and at great cost to transport them in. Then you get them to the auction. You're going to do recon on them, whether that's details, condition reports, imaging, all the things that we have to do at the auction to sell the car properly. You run it across the block, whether in lane or online, and the car doesn't sell because it doesn't have a title. You put all that investment, all that time, all that energy, whether you're a small dealer, a big dealer, a consignor, a bank, whatever, and only not to sell the car because it doesn't have a title, it doesn't make any sense. So why not take advantage of the technology like accelerated title?
Exactly. And, to your point about that, that's actually one of my favorite features of accelerated title is that, not only are you able to see the real-time payoff quote, but you're also able to see an image of a title. So that there's a lien perfected, that the title is securely stored at dealer track, and you can expect to receive the release of that title very quickly. So I think it, kind of gives confidence to the dealers to go ahead and submit payment, and they know that they're going to be receiving the title in a pretty quick manner.
You remember with the client that we visited, that was a huge selling point to them, to be able to see the title, to know, that it was, ready when they needed it. They could, it was so much better than what they had, digging through a pile of titles on the floor.
Absolutely. And then there's this a recent article actually posted by Cox about the trends that's shaping the vehicle moving business, right? And I thought it was interesting that number one is growth of consumer digital retailing, creating new expectations. And one of those expectations obviously being what we're talking about here, and that's everything being done in a speedy manner, right? Everyone wants everything done pretty quickly, which, always brings us back to accelerated title, because we're expediting the release of these titles.
Yeah, you're making the money available way faster than any other way possible, right? So that just makes sense again.
Absolutely. And there's also another thing that I wanted to touch on, because this is an additional feature of accelerated title as well, and that's total loss. There's a most recent LexisNexis report showing that 1/4 of all accidents at this point result in total loss, which is something that accelerated title covers. We're granting insurance companies the ability to not only see the payoff quote, but negotiate the settlement value, streamline that whole negotiation process between lender and insurance company for these type of scenarios. So could you touch on that a little bit? And the importance of total loss scenarios being taken care of quickly as to with what it is
that fits right in. So we have a segment of our business called TRA, Total Resource Auction, and it deals in many of the vehicles that are total loss. So that would absolutely play right into many of our dealers and some of our commercial consigners that have that as well. We don't have a large insurance business right now, but we do have lots of dealers and lots of commercial consigners that deal in the TRA business or total loss business. And don't you guys do something with CPO too? Because our I know a lot of the cars that come through our auction, especially the late model stuff, comes in. Franchise dealers buy it, they put it through the CPO process at their stores, and they sell the car probably as quickly as possible. Those are the most desirable cars in the marketplace. Doesn't accelerated title do that as well?
That really shows our synergy there, because basically all of the vehicles for the titles that are being released through accelerated title are CPOs. We're talking vehicles being traded in, or vehicles that have been through a total loss scenario. And there's actually a new CPO study that was just released in the market. You can actually see it on our Lender Insights page, where one of the key insights is that OEMs are expanding the age of CPO vehicles. And half of buyers in the study were okay with certified vehicles up to 6 years old, because affordability has more shoppers looking at CPO as a better bang for their buck, right?
Yeah, absolutely. With interest rates, with everything going on right now, low inventory, it just makes sense. So
absolutely. And then, after everything that we just discussed, again, it just always brings me back to the benefits of accelerated title, because we're expediting and streamlining this entire process from start to finish, whether it be a trade-in situation, a total loss scenario. Even with the huge increase in total losses, a lot of consumers are looking at CPOs as a replacement to their vehicle that was just in a total loss scenario. So obviously this is a huge market that's increasing. And then another thing that I usually hear from lenders is that they want to have better relationships with their dealers, right? And accelerated title only elevates that relationship, particularly with used inventory acquisition still being a challenge. So I think it just goes to show how, what it is that I do, what it is
Yeah.
that you do. We're just totally supporting the ecosystem
Yeah.
from a very high, overview when we talk, how the
Well,
importance of our titles getting over to you guys
you,
is.
you think about it, the more ways that we can partner together between Mannheim and DealerTrack, it's just going to benefit our clients.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And most of the titles that are being released from DealerTrack is going to
Go to
Mannheim.
us. Well, I hope so.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I hope the titles are coming from DealerTrack. But I just wanted to thank you again for joining us today. I really appreciate you helping explain how Cox Automotive connects the entire auto retailing ecosystem for our lender audience out there. And I hope they were able to learn from that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.